Former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett joins me now. He was the 13th Prime Minister of Israel, unseating current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who then went back into power after the time that Bennett served from June of 2021 to June of 2022. He represented a party at that time called the New Right political party. At the end of his term, he served as the third alternate prime minister for 5 months before announcing that he would not at that time run again. Prime Minister Bennett, great to have you here today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Very much. So explain to Americans the meaning of these strikes against Hezbollah, and how are they a signal that the war is entering a new phase and that we will see a lot more of this?
Yes, they are. I want to explain to the American public, though, that Hezbollah and Hamas are two different organizations and two different geographies. Hezbollah, in an unprovoked fashion, began shooting rockets at Israel following Hamas's assault on October 7th. And since then, they've been shooting 8,000 rockets at Israel. They killed dozens of Israelis, including 12 children in a soccer, playing soccer, and young children. And Israel generally has been showing too much restraint, in my opinion, for the past 11 months, but enough is enough. And what we're seeing right now is the weeding out of these arch terrorists who, should have died decades ago. Yeah. Ibrahim Akil should have not existed for the past 30 years. He killed over 200 Americans, by the way. There was a $7 million bounty on his head from the United States. We're not going to ask, we're not going to send a bill because America is helping us greatly. But the point is that these are big terrorists, global terrorists, and we're killing them, and that's just wonderful news for the world.
So with regard to the reaction to this extraordinary pager operation, was carried out by Israel. Can you confirm that?
I don't know.
AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, spoke out about it. She said that it violated the tenets of international warfare. She was scolding Israel for carrying this out. I know you cannot confirm that. What's your reaction when you hear what she says?
I would tell the terrorists to find a different job. I mean, if you're in the business of murdering citizens as your life career, you should expect lots of bad things will happen to you and, incidentally, to people around you. There is one way to safeguard your family, and it's to quit being a terrorist. So I would recommend, highly recommend, that any Hezbollah terrorist right now who seeks to live and to have a better future for his family, to call up Nasrallah and say, I quit, man. I don't want to die.
There's a UN meeting this week and a rally today outside. The brother of one of the hostages who was killed, of the 6 who were killed, along with Hersh Goldberg, Poland, and 4 others. This is what he had to say. He's frustrated, of course, about what happened. Watch.
Your life could have been saved so many times. You were meant to be returned to your life and to your loved ones. We can't turn back the clock for you, Carmel, but we can control this moment. The time to act is now.
There was a piece in the Wall Street Journal today that indicated that the White House is really at the end of the road in terms of thinking that they will be able to help negotiate any kind of agreement before the end of Biden's term.
Yeah.
What do you say to these families?
We need to bring the hostages home. They were kidnapped from their beds, from their homes, early in the morning. They did nothing wrong to anyone, and it's our responsibility as the Jewish state to take care of our citizens. I will say that Yahya Sinwar is not under enough pressure, because if he were, he'd come to the negotiation table. He's not there, and I think we need to...
Do you believe he wants a deal?
I think not enough. And the only way to get him to want a deal is for him to see an imminent threat on his life, tanks rolling towards him. I think right now Israel is prosecuting this war way too slow, way too weak. We need to strengthen.
What do you think? I mean, you hear American politicians say that they, and the President Biden, basically saying you need to tone it down. This is too much, what's happening in Gaza. What do you say to him right now?
Well, if thousands of Americans were massacred from, let's say, some town in Mexico, from Al-Qaeda hosted in Mexico, America would demolish that town. I mean, what would you do? What would you do if people invaded your homes here in New York or wherever and butchered your families and shot thousands and thousands of rockets for years? If anything, Israel's mistake is not doing the war, it's why we waited so long.
This is former President Trump at the Israeli-American Council last evening, and he's encouraging Jewish voters in America, saying that voting for him is a vote for Israel, for the future of Israel. Watch.
If we continue down our current path with 4 more years of Kamala, Israel will be faced not just with an attack, but with total annihilation. Anybody who's Jewish and loves being Jewish and loves Israel is a fool if they vote for a Democrat.
Do you agree with him?
Well, obviously, I never intervene in the domestic American politics. We've got enough of our mess in Israel. We don't need to push our noses into your mess. I will say this, that the Jews in America need Israel to be really strong, because ultimately Israel is the only nation state of Jews in the world. It's a tiny little country, the size of New Jersey. You know, people might think it's Texas or something. A tiny little tract of land surrounded by horrible people. And Jews need a strong Israel. And Israel needs a strong Jewish community across the world. And for all of that to happen, we just need to do one thing. We need to win.
You were quoted recently as saying that you would do whatever it takes. If you were assigned, sweeping the floors to help your country, that's what you would do. Would you return to politics? Would you like to be prime minister again? And do you think you would do a better job than Netanyahu?
I'll do anything for my country. The only 2 things I care about in the world are my family and my nation. And I'll be at any place I need to be to help save and strengthen the state of Israel.
I hope you'll join us again. These are obviously very consequential times for Israel, for the Middle East, and next time I hope we can dig into the issue of Iran, which obviously underlies all of this.
Yes.
From Hezbollah and Hamas. We may be headed into some very scary times, and I think it's important to keep this story in the forefront. So thank you, Prime Minister.
Thank you, Martha.
Very good to see you today. Thank you for being here.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.